Hello, my name is Ken Harp. I'm going to introduce you to flip tarp systems for dump trucks and the wind-up system for landscape trailers. First of all, let me say that we break the system up into two of three major components. The third being the tarp, which joins the two other parts together, but the tarps will not be discussed in this presentation. To begin with, at the front of the trailer or dump bed, you have the wind-up system. That's one of the major components of the system, but there are different options there, and we don't want to lock you into whatever combination we would choose. We give you the option. For example, you can go manual, you can go electric, and there are even different options amongst, say, the manual systems. As far as the arm systems go, there's steel, there's aluminum, and even different options within the aluminum systems. So that's why we try to let you take a mix and match approach where you can put together whatever combination of wind up mechanism and arm system that you desire. All right, so the major components, first, like I said, is the wind up system. So over here you can see we have manual systems, and the pros to that is a lower initial cost, and there are fewer parts that could fail. But the cons of that are decreased productivity, higher long run cost, higher risk of injury to the user, and for a business owner, higher risk of lawsuits and or workers' comp claims. Moving up the ladder, you could upgrade to an electric system, which I would personally recommend, especially if the dump truck or dump trailer is in use all day, every day, if that's how you earn your living. The pros are increased productivity, lower long run cost. It'll typically, if you can pick up one extra load a day, think about the revenue that you get on your average load. Upgrading to electric will probably pay for itself in just a number of weeks. So it should have a high return on investment. It's safer, there's lower risk of injury, and lower risk of lawsuits or workers' comp claims. The downfall to what some people may see as the cons of that is the higher initial cost, which again, that's just on the front end. That's not the total cost of ownership, which I think would be lower with the electric system. There are more moving parts. But then again, a lot of things worth having. A car has more moving parts than a horse and buggy, but we pretty much all drive cars. Our motor has a full 3-year warranty. On the other side of the slide here, you see the arm systems that are on the right side of the slide. Your options for that is you can go with steel system or aluminum. The steel systems, if an arm gets bent, you can typically repair it. You can bend it back. It's weldable. A little bit lower on the initial cost. The drawbacks of the steel system would be that it's heavier than aluminum. It's subject to rusting, and it's not as aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't look as good. The aluminum systems, which would be my recommendation in most cases, it's not subject to rusting. It looks sharper on your truck, which, that's your image that you present to your customers and to the public. And it's lighter weight. The drawbacks would be it costs slightly more on the front end, and they're difficult to repair if they get damaged. But choosing the right system can help avoid any damage to begin with. An expansion of our major categories at the top left quadrant here, you'll see the manual systems. You have our 1200, which is, you'll see it in a subsequent slide. That and the 1500 are just basic wind-up systems. I'll go over the differences a little bit later. The 1600 is similar to the 1500, but it has a chain and it drops down and you can use it from the ground. The 1700 is your window shade type unit for people who prefer those kind of units. Your electric systems in the lower left-hand quadrant here. You have the 2600, which is your basic electric system for small to medium-sized dump bodies, and then you have your 3500 and 3800. On the arm systems, we have in the upper right quadrant here, we have two options. They're both robust steel systems that we have been selling for many, many years. We've been selling this system or something similar to it for probably a couple of decades now. The only difference between the two is the length body, which I'll show you in a subsequent slide. The 5250 is for a shorter body, and the 5260 is for a slightly longer body. Our aluminum systems here, actually these three systems, and there are variants of these, which I'll go over. The 8620 is an aluminum system. This is our 8600 series. The 8600 series here consists of the 8620, which is for dump bodies up to 20 feet long. The 8630 is for dump bodies up to 30 feet long. And the 8640 is for dump bodies up to 40 feet long. So first we're going to cover the wind-up, the front wind-up mechanism for your Tarp wind-up system. First here we have the GHS 1200. It's a manual wind-up system. You will see here that it has no sprocket or prawl or dog, as some people call it. This is a very basic system for like a landscape trailer. It's not meant to be used with an arm system that's spring loaded because it doesn't have the sprocket and dog. The handle, which you see here, can do what they call freewheel and sort of spin around when the tarp's being pulled off. And that can be a little bit of a hazard. So for that reason, I would not recommend this for use with an arm system, but just like a landscape trailer. Our handle that we designed here has a mechanism where you can pull down on it, and the spring allows these little pins, allows you to pull the handle down and pivot it out of the way, sort of in this direction, so that when not in use, it's compacted and closer to the body of the trailer. So again, this is the GHS 1200. It's our most basic system for landscape type trailers. Next, you have the GHS 1500. This would, in my opinion, this would be recommended for people who trucks that don't get all day, everyday use. Maybe they're farms or something, and they use the truck 4 or 5 times a week. You wouldn't want to be cheap on the front end only to cost yourself a lot more in operating cost in the long run. So again, going with an electric system for something that's used very often is going to have a payback. It's going to save your labor, so because the driver doesn't have to get up and climb up on the truck every time, and manually roll the system up, and avoid potential injuries and so forth. On a manual system like this, if you'll look down here on this dump truck, you see how high the handle is. The driver will usually have to step up here somewhere, and his arm is extended. But people use these successfully all the time. So this is a good basic system. With all of our systems that we design, at every step where my engineers came to me and said, we have 2 options, option A and option B. Maybe option A is better, but option B is cheaper. Anytime it was economically feasible at all, we always chose the high road, and we chose to spend a little bit extra money to get you a higher quality system so that you would have less problems and lower cost of ownership. I take the approach, I don't like to be penny wise and pound foolish. I don't like to make short run decisions that end up costing me more in the long run. So, and because I care about our customers, I wanted to do the same for them, and that's why we did it that way. So this is our excellent basic unit that we've had this or some version of this. From time to time we make improvements, but we've had this or some version of this for many, many years. This is sort of old faithful, if you will, and it's a good basic system. We'll move on now to the GHS 1600, which is a similar concept, except you'll notice that there's a sprocket and a chain here, and the handle is down here. That allows the driver to operate the unit from the ground. And that's, if you make the decision to go with the manual system, that's a safer system. You'll see on the right hand side more of how it looks when it's assembled, and there's a chain cover there that protects the driver from an open chain that could grab parts of their clothing or what have you. 1600 is a good manual system, good choice as well, good little upgrade from the 1500. The last manual system that I'm going to show you today is our GHS 1700. It's a window shade system for people who want that kind of system. It's a basic window shade type system. It's not one of our top selling items, but some people prefer this. So we wanted to make that available for the companies that decided that's what they wanted. Next, our most popular electric system. This electric system is for steel systems up to 26 feet long, or aluminum systems up to 30 feet long. You can see on all of our systems, even uh, the 1200, 1500, and the 1600, as well as our electric systems, we have what we call the ETA bar, and it is a telescoping bar. And if you are the one installing this, or if your customers are installing this, that is a time saver and sort of a guarantee against a miscut. In the old days, we had a more of a solid aluminum bar, and some companies still offer systems that are that way, but if you miscut that, once you cut it off, you can't add it back on. So this telescoping system saves people installing time, and it's sort of a safety mechanism to prevent overcutting. It makes shipping easier, makes installation quicker. It's a top-notch system. You can see it's grooved, and you got your bolts there that you will install your tarp on. This here's over to the left down here, you can see one installed. That one happens to have an optional wind deflector with it. With these systems, if I were running as a businessman and a former bean counter, if I were running one of these trucks and I were paying a driver to run the truck, there's no way I would get anything other than electric system. It's going to provide a huge ROI when you think of your savings and limiting potential liabilities. So you're going to see, let's say you capture an extra load a day. I mean, think about what you earn for your average load. It is, to me, it's the only way I would go for a dump truck that was in full-time use. So, moving on, our GHS 3500 is for trucks with longer bodies. For instance, aluminum systems over 30 feet. It's got a 900 watt motor instead of a 600 watt motor. By the way, both of our motors have a 3-year non-prorated warranty. They have a substantial amount of torque, and that's done by virtue of an appropriate gear ratio, which allows the system to get the maximum amount of torque for that motor. So the GHS 3500 is basically the difference between that and a 2600 is that it has a 900 watt motor instead of a 600 watt motor, and a little bit heavier gauge wire and a little bit more wire because it's typically going on longer systems. It also costs a little bit more, obviously. Copper is a huge component of the wire, and it takes a lot of wire. This is a system that we designed. We didn't cut any corners. We tried to choose the best option at every juncture, and we've had a lot of positive feedback on the system. All right, both of these both the 2600 and the 3500 can be used in wind deflector. I call this a fuel saver. If you imagine, you can see the wind deflector installed up here on the truck. If you imagine if that wasn't there, then wind could get under your roller bar. And if you got a tarp on there, the tarp is designed to keep stuff in. And the wind is going to make the tarp act like a sail. People do use them like that and use them, without any interruptions to their operations. But from a fuel savings standpoint, I would certainly recommend the wind deflector. Again, if I had trucks of my own, that's the decision I would make. It also can reduce wear and tear on the tarp, and if it's having like a sail effect on the tarp, then it's a lot of extra movement on the arms. So again, I would highly recommend the wind deflector, but you can use it. You can use our systems without one. There won't be any problem doing that. So I'll move on to the next slide. Now we'll get into our arm systems. First is our GHS 5250. This is for end dump applications. It's a steel system, very robust steel tubing. It's a steel system that is designed to go on 8 to 16-foot trucks. It has, as you can see here, it has bent arms. It is a 3-spring system, which would have a narrower profile than say a 5-spring system, which might come out a little bit further. There are telescoping arms that you can adjust. This is a good standard steel system for those people who desire a steel system. If you have frequent problems with loaders or what have you bumping into your arms, and you have the manpower and the time to straighten bent arms or weld them, or if you prefer steel for whatever reason, this is our steel arm system. We give you options. Some people prefer steel, some people prefer aluminum. We make all of our systems in the USA, and that includes every system on this slideshow, with the exception of the GHS 1700. The window shade system is sourced from a third party, but all other systems are engineered and fabricated by us. The 5260 is for applications from 16 to 24 feet. As you can see here, it is a 5-spring system. It needs the extra springs to carry the arms, the longer, heavier arms, back and forth. So it's going to stick out a little bit further than a 3-spring system. The arms are also bent, as these typically go on end dump trucks that can often have a cab shield that has a drop. I'll go over that in a minute. On our aluminum system, you have our 8600 series. You have the 8620, 30, and 40, which is for the different body lengths, 20 feet, 30 feet, and 40 feet. You can get straight arms, or you can get bent arms. Unless your cab shield is higher than the sidewalls of your dump bed, bent arms are not necessary and will probably increase shipping cost. On most dump trailers, or a lot of dump trucks, where most dump trailers, the trailer is, the front of the trailer is level with the sides of the trailer, so there's no exposed part of a dump truck arm. On dump truck bodies that have a the sidewall or the board that people put on top is relatively close to the cab shield, you could probably put a straight arm system on it and be fine as well. The spring mount options, which you'll see more about later as well, we have the typical system is an external spring mount. Ours has a spring housing on it to protect the springs from dirt and grime, stuff like that. The other option that is likely the superior option is an underbody spring system. Now that is going to cost a little bit more, but the springs are tucked under the body and they're out of the way. Let's move on and you'll see more of what I'm talking about in graphics on subsequent slides. Okay, this is our 8620, which I'm very proud of. It was engineered in-house by us. We do all kinds of things like include the brass ring to reduce friction, which alleviates some of the load on the springs and the motor, and just it's the little details that make our systems better. We have a custom EPDM rubber bumper there that is thicker where it needs to be thicker. The same with the profile. If you looked at a cross section of this arm, the edges of the arm that have received most of the abuse and where all the stress is are designed to be thicker. And that's a difference in an engineered tarp system like ours and some of our competitors do the same thing, but we've seen other systems out there that they just use some sort of steel or aluminum round tubing, and it's a uniform thickness, the tubing all the way around. And it just looks like they went to the hardware store and put together a system from basic materials available at a hardware store without giving a lot of thought to the actual application. This system, our systems are designed to be used on a dump truck. Our systems and every component is designed for the application. We didn't go to the hardware store and try to, pull a bunch of random stuff off the shelf and piece together some sort of system. We engineered a solution for you. The spring housings here help protect the springs from the elements. It's aesthetically pleasing. It looks good on the truck. You have telescoping arms here, again, so you can easily adjust. You have our custom design elbow here that joins the two pieces. Again, the 8620, as you can see up here, is for dump trucks up to 20 feet long. It's a 3-spring system. It's also available with bent arms. What I was telling you earlier about the cab shield and the drop, see right here, this system on this dump truck here actually has bent arms. If you had straight arms and you drew a line from here at the pivot pin position straight up to where the arms would come to if they were straight, you'll see you have this triangle here, sort of a triangle of exposure on the arm if it were not bent. A lot of people do straight arms anyway, and they don't have any problem with that. If you want to be extra safe, you can order the bent arms, and it'll help keep your arms a little bit out of the way. It may increase the shipping. It may increase the cost a little bit. There's some additional shipping cost associated with that. So, but that's your decision. Whatever you or if you're a distributor, whatever your customer decides to do. But this is a quality system that we engineered. Our springs that you see here come pre-packed. I think we may be the only ones that do that, or at least a lot of people don't do that. We pre-assemble the springs for you. That's a time saver for those of you who are installing the units for your customers. All right, let's move on to the 8630. Our 8630 is a 5-spring unit, you can see here, and it fits 20 to 30 foot bodies. You can see here there's a graphical representation of the 8630 being longer than the 8620. If you, for some reason, need a 4-spring system and not 5, you can just leave one spring out. There's enough tension when these springs are loaded and the system's installed on the truck to where the springs aren't going to slide back and forth. It's not going anywhere. So this can actually work as a 5 or a 4-spring application if that's what you need. So the 8630 again is just a longer version of the 8620. And both of these units are available in an underbody spring mount option. You'll see that in just on the next slide. Yes, our 8640 really is 8640U. The U is for underbody spring mount. So if you wanted an 8620 underbody spring mount, you would ask for an 8620U, or an 8630 would be an 8630U. Now you can see here, this is the side of a dump trailer, and this system mounts underneath the dump trailer, the spring system. It's a very heavy-duty, well-designed system, again, engineered by us, manufactured at our warehouse in the United States, not like a lot of the cheaper foreign-made stuff. Also, while I'm on the cheaper stuff, the aluminum alloy that we use is a superior alloy than a lot of people use. There are aluminum is not aluminum is not aluminum. I mean, all what I'm trying to say there is all aluminum isn't the same. We use an alloy that's much better than what some people use, and we had lower cost options available to us, but we chose an alloy that was superior and was a better fit for the application. We weren't interested just in taking the user of the system's money on the front end and let them worry about any problems that have to happen afterwards. We, again, at the juncture where I was asked by our engineering staff what alloy to use, we talked about the different alloys available, and we chose the alloy that we felt was the best match for the application and superior to other less expensive alloys on the market. So our 8640, back to that, that aluminum alloy question holds true on all of our aluminum systems, but the 8640 here, you can see, fits 30 to 40 foot dump trailers. It's only available in a underbody system, and it's a 7-spring system. That's why it's only available in an underbody mount, because of highway regulations and so forth. You couldn't have a 7-spring external mount system because it would exceed certain width requirements. And again, looking out after our customers, we want to do everything we can to help them comply with all the rules and regulations that you have to comply with. Includes the basic introduction to Glenn Harp and Sons, or Harps Tarps dump truck wind-up systems. I hope this has been informative, and I hope you see all the value that we've tried to add. That's our niche. We try to provide the most value in the market. So it's that proper balance between functionality and quality, but yet at a competitive price. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed the presentation.